welcome back to my channel. My name is Tina. If you're new, and in today's video, I'm at the park again. Sorry if you hear kids screaming, but kind of like the kids' space and I'm like an invader. But I do have my mic. Hopefully it's not so bad. So in today's video, I'm gonna give you some tips about how to get into dental hygiene school, as well as talk about how I personally got into dental hygiene school. I'm a first-year dental hygiene student with zero prior dental experience. I wasn't a dental assistant. I've never shadowed, nothing. I like going to the dentist and I have a good relationship with my hygienist, but that's about it. So I got into my dental hygiene program the fourth time I applied. And that kind of rolls right into my number one tip, and that's to apply to as many schools as you can. When you're applying, you want to make sure that the school is CODA accredited, and if you're not sure what that is, just check out my first video on this channel. I talk about CODA and why it's important. Well, along with the first caveat of making sure that your school is CODA accredited, the second caveat is that you want to make sure that whatever school you're picking, you're okay with the application requirements. Some schools require essays, some schools require interviews, shadowing, things like that. So if you don't want to do those things, or you don't want to put the time necessary into them, just pick a school that doesn't require it. And so the reason that I didn't apply to more than one school is because I researched all the options in Minnesota. I'm not sure how it was back then. Now I want to say that there are 9 programs. 6 of them are associates, 3 of them are bachelors. I didn't want a bachelor, so that drops me right down to 6. And then some of them were more like, I don't know if the right word is like a trade school. Like back in Texas, there was a school called DeVry. It was like, or like ITT Tech. It was like, I don't really know what the word is, but the vibe that the schools give off is not all there. Like when you go to the website and there's like a, put in your first and last name and your email and hit contact us and we'll email you back. Like if the website has that, I'm like, I don't necessarily want to go to school there. You know, so I researched all my options, and this was the only school that I really wanted to go to that had application requirements that I was willing to put the time into. I was a full-time flight attendant, and there was really no way that I was going to be shadowing dental hygienists, writing essays, doing interviews. It just wasn't going to happen. So being realistic is really important when you're applying as well. As part of your process picking a school, if they have like an information session, either online or in person, I would definitely recommend doing that. I went to an information session back in 2018 at the school I'm currently going to, and it was amazing. I learned about how many applicants there were, some of the scores that were getting accepted, learned a little bit about the program, and I think that also one of the really big tips on how to get into dental hygiene school is that you really need to make sure that it's something that you want to do. Research the career, try to find out what the day of a dental hygienist looks like. I'm not saying shadow a dental hygienist, but you know, it's 2023 or beyond, whenever you're watching this, you can find out what a dental hygienist does, right? Look on YouTube. If it's later enough in life, you can look at my videos. There'll be a day in the life, right? So make sure it's something you want to do. There's a lot of people who will tell you that this job has no like upward progression. It's just like lateral, and they'll tell you that it's really repetitive. You do the same thing every day. They'll tell you that there's like a lot of drama in the office, a lot of toxicity. But if you know that, that's one thing, but to kind of like go through the whole process and then pretend like you didn't know, or not researching it, and then when you get out there, you're like, oh my gosh, this is so repetitive. It's not really smart, and you can't blame anybody but yourself. Why would you spend 2 to 4 years of your life training for a career that you don't know anything about? You know, take the time to learn about something that you are putting your time and money and effort into. My next tip is to focus on your GPA from the get-go. You don't really want to be in the position of trying to bring your GPA up. I was in that position. That's probably a large part of why I didn't get in the first time. You know, my cumulative score, my school ranked on a 100-point scale. My cumulative score on that 100-point scale was fairly low, and a really easy way to get, like, let's just say 10 points is to have a B average versus an A average. Your GPA is, like, if you have a 3.0, that's 30 points. So if you have a 3.5, 35 points, 4.0, 40 points. So the school you're looking at ranks based on the GPA. Don't be in the position of having a 3.0 and wanting to get a 3.5, you know? Go into it really strong with as high of a GPA as you can. If you're watching this like when you're in high school or you have zero college experience, you're at a huge advantage because you can kind of start with good habits. I think it's important to figure out how you study. Do you study best in a group? Do you study best alone? Do you study best with like a Quizlet? Do you study best with something that you made yourself? Do you study best by watching YouTube videos or watching your lectures or listening to your lectures over and over? Find out which way you learn and just take advantage of that. Because I know for me personally, a group setting, I'm not going to learn like that. Using somebody else's study material that they made, I'm not going to learn like that. Like I have to do the work myself, I have to do the work alone. Do you study best at home? Do you study best at a coffee shop or at the library? While you're focusing on your GPA, another tip is to make sure that if your school does require like an admissions test, a tease or an interview or an essay, make sure that you're putting the time and effort into those. Put them in a planner, plan them out. Don't half-ass them. If you're half-assing it, you might as well pick a program that doesn't require it. It's kind of like, just be honest with yourself, because you're an adult and nobody's forcing you to do this. So if you're not going to do the essay, if you don't want to do it, just don't pick that school. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, why pick the school with the essay and then, I don't know, use ChatGPT to write an essay, or like, I don't know, like just why do that to yourself? If you're taking like a tease test, it's especially important that you dedicate time to it. There's a waiting period if you fail, and you might miss an application deadline at the college you're interested in if you think, oh, I can just breeze through the tease test, and then you fail, and then you have to wait, and then you miss the application. And that's another reason that I picked the program that I picked. I was a full-time flight attendant. I knew what I was willing to do. Fitting in essays that were thoughtful, going on interviews with dental hygiene faculty, shadowing, giving letters of recommendation. I wasn't willing to do it. I just wasn't willing to do it. So as I said, I'm a first-year student, and our teacher told us about a student in the previous year who dropped out of the program because after a little while they decided that it kind of like wasn't for them. So that's why it's really important that you look into what the dental hygiene career entails. Of course, if it's not for you, you should definitely drop out. Like, I'm not saying that once you get into it, you should stay, and if you're not happy or if it's not for you. But I think that probably the feeling of it being not for you once you're already in the program could be avoided with research. Understand that it's probably going to be hard to schedule last minute time off if you work at an office, because your patients are counting on you. Your patients are coming back every 6 months, maybe even like on earlier intervals. So if they're coming back to see you, you can't just not be there. And I don't say this to scare you or anything, but I think that to go through the application process pretending like these stories don't exist is just really it's not wise. So when I first applied for the 2019 program, I had 86.52 points, and that was on a 100-point scale. I was told that a 90 was competitive, and the GPA was contributing 3.068. So that was, 30 points. And the rest of it was from my non-science courses and my science courses. The second time I applied, it was for the 2020 program, and I also didn't get in. But I will say, I did not do anything in between the first application and the second. I didn't retake any courses. I didn't improve my application in any way. But it's free to apply. So that's another tip. Apply every year. Even if you haven't improved your application, you don't know who you're up against. So if it's free to apply, apply every year. After the third time I applied and was rejected, I started trying to do some things a little bit different. I started researching. I found out about academic forgiveness. And the next month after I started researching, I applied for it and was accepted. The next month after that, I started taking statistics. This was a bonus class, and that's another tip. So there are some classes that were not required as prerequisites, but they were either advised to take them and earn extra points, or they were going to occur during the dental hygiene sequence, and I just took them early. What that did was that both gave me a boost to my GPA, and it made life easier for future me, because when we get to spring semester, my classmates are going to be taking 5 classes, I'm going to be taking 4, right? Because I've already done the class. For that statistics course that I took, I did earn an A. That was a huge boost to my application. And since I did the academic forgiveness, that wiped out an introduction to sociology class that I took in my first semester of undergrad back in spring 2007. I actually earned a C in that course, and I was able to replace it with an A when I did my academic forgiveness. So the academic forgiveness alone raised my GPA from 3.068 to 3.233. So the first time I applied, I was at an 86.52 out of 100. I'm pretty sure that this time, the fourth time when I got in, I had 96.34 out of 100. And I say I think because I know for a fact I had a max of 46 on my science, I had a max of 14 on my non-science. But when it comes to my GPA, I'm not 100% sure. I think it was a 3.64, but I had emailed my academic advisor because she actually reached out. I think it was maybe a mass email, but she reached out saying, if you have like a quick question, send me an email. So I sent her one back saying, hey, what's my, GPA? And she told me at my school was a 4.0, but I knew that I had taken classes from other, schools within the Minnesota university system. And I knew that those classes I didn't have all A's in. So I was assuming that the academic advisor for the school that I was at that can automatically retrieve transcripts, I would assume that she could see my overall GPA and let me know what that is. What GPA am I working with when you look at all my transfer credits? What I was provided was a link to an online GPA calculator. So that's kind of what I mean when I said in another video about the academic advisors aren't always helpful. I don't even know what my GPA was. I was provided a link to a GPA calculator, and I could do that, but it doesn't matter, really. I mean, I would like to know, but why can't you just tell me my GPA? The academic advisor doesn't know, who knows? So I started taking classes in summer of 2016, like those bonus classes. I started with Intro to Nutrition, which I got an A in, Intro to Psychology, which I unfortunately got a B in. Not great, but I mean, a B is decent. And then of course, in the summer of 2022, I took my statistics course, which again was not required, but further on down in the dental hygiene program, we do have to take a couple of electives. One of the electives you can take is statistics. So I kind of got that out of the way. That's another tip. Just really kind of look through the course sequence. And if you're, applying and you got rejected, or you are working up to save money, or whatever the case may be, if you can somehow fit in some extra courses, it's going to save you a lot of time, and it can really help you out for applying. And my last tip, my number one tip, actually, it should have been the first tip, is to persevere. Do not give up. If I had given up when I applied for that first time and I didn't get in for 2019, I wouldn't be sitting here today. I wouldn't be like standing in dental clinic and like touching the light and the tray and the chair and moving it around and feeling so surreal that like I'm the one who's doing that. Like in a little while, I'm gonna be moving that light and there's gonna be somebody sitting in that chair and I'm gonna be cleaning their teeth, So don't give up, whatever you do. It's free to apply. If you don't get in, work on courses to improve your grades, work on anything you can. Work on improving your interviewing skills, maybe get some stronger letters of recommendation, maybe get some more shadowing hours. Do what you have to do, but do not give up. Whatever you do, don't give up. So that's about all I have for tips. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, share it with anybody you think might like it. And next week, the vlog starts. So come back. We're going to be here for 2 years, so let's buckle up. See you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.